So OpenAI just dropped GPT-5.5, and people are already doing some absolutely insane things with this model. Like someone just solved an unsolved math problem that no mathematician could crack in just a few minutes. Someone else built a fully fledged indie game that looks absolutely stunning. And this is just the beginning. So today I'm going to show you the best of what people are creating with GPT 5.5 and also explain why these trust me bro benchmarks just don't work anymore. Alright, so the first thing that we are going to look at is this 3D voxel style action adventure scene. Now, the user that created this specific game says that Chat GPT 5.5 built this whole thing in just a single 3.js file, which is insane to think about. And GPT 5.5 also added a Musu-style crowd combat system where enemies chase the player, and the player can clear groups with normal attacks or a right-click spinning slash. Enemy count is adjustable with a slider, so as you can see, the animations here look pretty good. Also, when the user increases the number of enemies to its maximum, the game lags a bit, but otherwise, when the number of enemies is normal, the game does not lag at all and everything looks pretty cool. And what I specifically like about this is that the voxel art does not look like AI slop at all. It is something which actually looks good to the eye and not just some basic shapes. And another cool thing about GPT 5.5 is that it has improved a lot in its capability to generate 3D assets just from images. Now you can create these images using any image model, and from those images, GPT 5.5 creates these really cool 3D objects. The thing here is that these 3D objects are pretty simple. You cannot recreate complex objects, but it is a massive improvement for people who are trying to create indie games with GPT 5.5. But if you want to create more complex 3D objects, I would recommend using a model specifically built for that, like Meshy AI. Now here is an example of another insanely good indie game created using GPT 5.5. The first thing you would notice is that the games created using GPT 5.5 do not look like AI slop. As for the images, textures, and the background image, people are using GPT Image 2.0 inside of Codex, which makes the games look pretty beautiful. If you just use GPT 5.5, there is no way you will be able to create games that look beautiful. You will only be able to create the logic of the game. But if you use GPT 5.5 along with GPT Image 2 to generate the assets and the animations, then you will get actually playable, really beautiful, and stunning games like this. Here is another example of such a 2D game created using GPT 5.5 and ChatGPT Image 2. As you can see, it also looks really good, and the animations of the player movement are also quite beautiful. I think that the user could have asked the AI to add a few more frames to make the running animation much smoother, but otherwise, this looks pretty good. Also, with the help of ChatGPT 5.5 and Image 2, you are able to create these very beautiful looking animated websites. If you only use GPT 5.5, you will notice that the model is not that great in terms of creating front ends for websites and apps. But if you use it with GPT Image 2, then you will be able to create prototypes using the image models. Then, using the visual capabilities of GPT 5.5 to reference the generated images, you can create the actual website taking that image as a reference, so that will make the website look much better. Now, the most interesting accomplishment that people have been able to achieve with ChatGPT is that a 23-year-old was able to crack one of the Erdos problems that remained unsolved for over 60 years. The most insane thing here is that he used GPT 5.4 Pro to do it, not even GPT 5.5. So just imagine how good GPT 5.5 will be compared to GPT 5.4. I cannot say this enough. This is huge for mathematics and the technological advancement of the world, as most technology and science depend on logic, and mathematics is the most logical thing ever. If AI models are able to solve these complex mathematical problems, which no human being has ever been able to solve, then it is going to be huge in advancing science and technology very fast. The main part here is that the model only took 80 minutes and 17 seconds to solve the problem, and the model was a previous version of ChatGPT called GPT 5.4. And in terms of mathematics, GPT 5.5 is around twice or thrice better than GPT 5.4. So GPT 5.5 would have been able to solve this math problem in 30 or 40 minutes, I think. This is a pretty fabulous accomplishment, and it just goes to show how fast AI models are evolving. Here is another cool game built using GPT 5.5. The user that built the game says that he gave it a very complex prompt to create a London toy railway with landmarks and seasons. It did an excellent job in one shot. In the second half of the video, you are going to see that this guy basically compared GPT 5.5 high with GPT 5.4 to see how much the models have improved in terms of their new generation. As you can see, the two models are quite similar, but GPT 5.5 is just much better looking and much smoother than GPT 5.4. And now let's come to the part where I show you why benchmarks don't mean anything. This is a benchmark directly from arena.ai, and it specifically places GPT 5.5 high in the top 9, lower than Muse Spark from Meta, and even lower than Kimi K 2.6. And people have realized that it is wrong. I have tested GPT 5.5 high myself. It is way better than Opus 4.7 thinking. Also, the Opus models have been degraded a lot in 2 months. They will just stop working and will say that they have implemented a feature while they have done nothing, and they just generate a lot of bugs in the code. Whereas GPT 5.5 high does not do that at all and works much faster than Opus 4.7. Anyone who has used Opus 4.7 along with GPT 5.5 will tell you that GPT 5.5 high is way better than Opus 4.7. And people have been angered by this post very much. Someone even generated an image with AI saying that they fixed it. And as you can see, GPT 5.5 is on the top. I don't understand how this benchmark could have been so wrong. People understood that it is wrong. A user says that these benchmarks don't mean too much unless you explain in what dimension. OpenAI is better at certain tasks, but Opus has its uses as well. Don't attack a cannon at a bottle cap. Plus, Opus might be a more budget-friendly option if you consider the high cost of OpenAI models. Another user says that Opus 4.7 is a trash, unreliable model, as I said earlier, and GPT 5.5 basically almost one-shots everything. So, as you can see, you can't really trust these benchmarks, and you need to test these models with your own hands to get a clear understanding as to how these models work for your needs specifically. That was all for today's video. See you in the next one.